this, okay, you can go for a replacement class. I can finish early. I can finish early. So after that, yours next is SG3, yeah, correct? Okay. So after I finish, you can go there. Why I do this is because there are few students also have replacement, but they start at 5 also. You start later, no problem. Okay. After this, next week is the last chapter. Okay, so fast, time flies. So next week is the last chapter. After that, revision. After revision, the following week, replacement. Okay, replacement, then replacement, you can come for Q&A session. Okay. Right. Okay, so today you will learn software configuration management. Heard of software configuration management? Heard before? No. Okay, fine. Alright. So these are the topic covered in chapter 7. Configuration management. What is it? Configuration management activities. So the first part is, what is configuration management? So what are the activities to be carried out in configuration management? Version management, system building, release management, okay, and lastly change management. Okay, so what software configuration management is all about? Okay, software will change during development and use. You agree? So software during development will change. After implementation, when users start using it, the software will also change. FIP student, you are doing your project. Do you change your project from time to time? You have written a program. After written a program, do you change your program? You do, right? You are so during development, okay, you may have many programs. Okay, you don't write the program once and put it aside. Okay, so you will keep changing the programs because there is bugs or you want to enhance it. Alright. So when a system has been delivered to the customer, so deliver to customer and customer start using it. So there is also a possibility that this software will also need to be changed. So software configuration management is about managing all these changes, managing changes during development and after it is being used. Alright? So software configuration is about establishing policy, processes, tools for managing changing software system. Software will change during development and after it is used. Right? So you need to establish policy. Okay? Policy. Okay, if there is a change, whether or not you allow the change. Okay, processes. How are you going to handle the change? When you receive a change, okay, so will you approve it immediately or do you have to study first? Okay, so what are the steps? Okay, whether to approve or not to approve a change. Okay, so the tools that you use to manage the change. Alright, software configuration management, or you can just call it configuration management, is to control changes so that everything works smoothly and you can go back to the particular version if needed. Okay, so any changes need to be controlled. If there's a change and there's no control, a lot of confusion will happen. You are doing a project with a person. For students who are doing group project. Okay, so for students who are doing group project, you may be sharing the database. Okay, so two of you are using one database. One person may change the database, may change particular field in the table. Okay, so when there's a change and this change is not informed to the other person, this will cause problem. Okay, so whenever there's a change, it must be controlled, and relevant parties need to be informed. Okay, so configuration management activities. All right. So what are the activities? Version management, system building, release management, and change management. All right. So configuration management activities are version management, system building, release management, and change management. So these are the four main activities in configuration management. Okay, so configuration management at different phases. Okay, so you need to do configuration management during the development phase. Okay, so during development phase, new functionality is being added to the software. So when requirement has been finalized, okay, development work started. Okay, so later on, there may be new requirements coming in. Okay, later you may receive new requirements that require you to add function to existing software. Okay, so this can happen during development phase. Okay, so development phase, new functionality is being added to the software, so something new comes in. Okay, you need to record down, okay, what comes in. Okay, so new features being added to the software. Okay, example is the new functionality is to include fingerprint to sign in. Okay, so these are the possible changes during development. Okay, so a normal sign-in program may require user to input ID and password. Okay, so they must started but not yet finished. There may be a new request to include fingerprint, using fingerprint to sign in. Okay, so system testing. So system testing phase. Okay, so possible changes after testing are bugs fixed. Okay, so improve performance and repair security vulnerability. So after system testing, what are the possible changes? So possible changes is there is bugs in the program. There is bugs found in the program. You have to modify the program. After modify, the program will become version 2, right? So some program also you may want to improve its performance. After improving the performance, it will become another version, okay, including repair security vulnerability. Okay, so under the system testing phase, where you fix bugs, improve performance, or repair security vulnerability, there's no new functionality added. Okay, so release phase, the software is released to the customer for use. Okay, so new version of the release system are developed to repair bugs and vulnerabilities and including new features. All right. Okay, so during development, possible changes are new functionality have to be added to the software. Okay, and a new version need to be come up. Okay, so after testing, Okay, so bugs need to fix, performance need to improve, okay, security vulnerability need to be repaired. So this also cause changes. Okay, so changes, if any, must be properly tracked, controlled, and documented. Okay, so change will definitely happen. Okay, change can happen in all stages. Okay, so change can happen in all stages. Okay, so whenever there's a change, it must be properly tracked, controlled, and documented. If you don't do this, things will be out of control, and the software will become very messy. I'll skip this. All right. Some of the configuration management terminology that you may need to know. All right. Okay. So a very common configuration management terminology is software configuration item, SCI. Okay, or you can call it configuration item. So software configuration item is anything associated with a software project. Examples: design spec, source code, test data, user manual, etc. So these are the things that you need to track, okay, when there is a project. Okay, so they are often different versions of a configuration item, and configuration item have a unique name. Okay, this is a process. These are the configuration item. Requirement spec is a configuration item. Design spec is a configuration item. Program 1, program 2, program N, okay, are for configuration items. Test plan, test data, training materials, all these are configuration items. So including the programming language that you use in a project is also a configuration item. The database you use, what database you use, SQL, and what version is also a configuration item. Can you give me another examples of a software configuration item other than this? You may have a project plan. Okay, you may have a project plan. You may develop a project plan before project started. So the project plan associated with your project is also a configuration item. Okay, so your plan also may change from time to time. Your project plan has a name. You may start with version 1, okay, then you improve it, become version 2, version 3, and so on. All this will change, okay? All this will change during development, and all these items has a unique name. It is good that you start each of them with version 1. Okay, you start each of them with version 1. As you change, either you make the next is version 2 or version 1.1. Whether it's 2 or 1.1, it depends how much is the change. Okay, so if the change, if there's a big change, you may want to make it as version 2 instead of version 1.1. But if it is a minor change, you may want to name it as version 1.1. Right? So that is software configuration item. For this course, BAIT 3153 SPM. So what are the configuration items? The lecture notes, tutorial questions, assignment spec, including the rubrics, the cost spec, there's a cost spec, correct? There is a cost specification. There is a cost plan. Okay, so these are the configuration for this subject, software project management. Okay, so next time there will be another set of version for SPM. Okay, so configuration item. These are configuration item. Okay, so version. So version is an instance of a software configuration item or configuration item. So version always have a unique identifier. So you look at the software, you can check your Android. Okay, your Android. You go to your phone, you go to setting about you can see the version number. So all software has a version number. Okay, so code line. So code line is a sequence of version of source code, right? So code line is a sequence of version of source code. There will be an example later. So baseline is a collection of component versions that make up a system. Okay, so there's also a diagram on this. So mainline, okay, is a sequence of baselines. Also, there is a diagram on this to help you to understand code line, baseline, and mainline. Okay, so branching. Okay, so branching and merging. Branching and merging, I have produced a simpler version here. Okay, I will explain to you later on. Okay, next part, version management. So version management is the process of keeping track of different versions of software components or configuration items and the system that uses these components. Okay, so version management can be thought of as a process of managing code line and baseline. Okay, next. Okay, so code line is a sequence of versions of source code. Okay, source code, you have many versions. Your source code, program 1, program 2, program N. Program 1 also you will have many versions, I believe. Okay, program 1, version 1, program 1, version 2, program 1, version 3. All other programs, I believe you have many versions. Okay, so code line is a sequence of versions of source code. And baseline is a definition of a specific systems. Okay, so what components are included in a version of a particular system. Okay, next. So code line is a sequence of versions of source code. Baseline is a definition of a specific system. Okay, specify what components are included in a version of a particular system. Okay, so code line and baseline. Okay, so code line means code line is the sequence of versions of source code. This is code line A. So started with A, then change and change and change. Okay, so this is code line B. Start with B, change, change, change. Code line C, change. Okay, program keep changing. Why program keep changing? Okay, why program keep changing? Let's say during development. Anybody? Why is that program keep changing during development? Okay, number one reason is to fix bugs. Okay, to fix bugs. After fixing bugs, the program will not be the same as the original program, correct? You have a new version. All this change is due to fixing bugs, improve performance. Anything else? Repair vulnerability, example. Alright? Okay, so this is sequence of version of source code. Okay, so baseline is collection of components of a system. Okay, so this is version 1 of system XYZ. Okay, so let's say this is system XYZ. So this is version 1 of system XYZ, which consists of A, B1.2, C1.1, library 1, library 2, external component 1. Alright, so all this component is version 1 of system Z. Okay, and this can be version 2 of system Z, which consists of A13, B12, C12, L1, L2, and external components too. So that's baseline. Baseline tells you what are the components of a particular system. Baseline version 1, baseline version 2. These are of the same system. Okay, so mainline. Okay, so mainline is sequence of baseline. Okay, so representing different version of a system. Okay, so mainline, system XYZ version 1, system XYZ version 2. This is mainline. Okay, so a quick review. Software configuration item, or you can just call it configuration items. Okay, so what are some examples? Design spec, source code, test data, user manual. Okay, so these are example. Version is an instance of a software configuration item. Okay, code line, baseline, mainline. Okay, so version control systems. Okay, so version control system, there are two types of modern version control system. Okay, so there are two types of modern version control system. I think not nowadays, not many companies will be using manual version control system. Okay, so manual version control system will be time consuming because you may need a person. Okay, you may need a dedicated person to control changes, or to control changes and access to configuration item. Okay, so if you are doing this manually, you may need a dedicated person, okay, to control access to configuration item, control access. You don't, one person must control who can access and who cannot access. So in software, there are so many configuration items. Controlling this kind of access, okay, is very time consuming. Okay, so two types of modern version control system: centralized version control system and distributed version control system. Skip this one. Okay, so centralized version control system. Okay, so for centralized version control system, there is a master repository. So meaning there is only one copy of project files. All the project related files are here. Okay, so all the project related files are here in the master repository. Okay, so if an item need to be taken out and changed, okay, taken out and changed is called checkout. So let's say at least want to do some changes to existing configuration item in the master repository. So the item need to be checked out. Okay, the item need to be checked out from here and stored in Alice workspace. This is Alice private workspace. Checkout means retrieve the item and put it into Alice workspace. If Alice is authorized to change it. Okay, so after changes is done, okay, transfer back to the master repository. This is called check-in. Okay, so Bob also can do the same. So if Bob want to make some changes and he's authorized to change it, so he has to check out, transfer the item into his own workspace. So when done, check in. Okay, so for centralized version control system, if a component has been checked out, so the centralized version control system will, if an item has been checked out, okay, and someone else wanted to check out the same items, the system will block it. Okay, so this is what modern version control system can do. So this is normally controlled by computerized version control system. Okay, so the next one is distributed version control. So distributed version control system work this way. Okay, so there is a master repository. Okay, so Alice want to make changes. So Alice need to make a copy of the master repository into her private workspace. This step is called clone. Okay, cloning the master repository. Okay, make changes. After finished, check in. This is check out, this is check in. Okay, so Bob also the same. Okay, so if Bob is assigned to make changes, Bob will make a copy of the master repository into his private workspace. Okay, make the changes and then done, check in. So this is distributed version control system. Okay, so about branching and merging. Okay, so branching about and merging. So we have accounting software version 1. Okay, we have accounting software version 1. This is a working version. Okay, so this is a working version and it is in use. Okay, so completed and it is in use. Okay, so now we want to add features to the existing system. Okay, so we want to add features. So when we want to add features, this is what we can do. Okay, so branching is make a copy of the accounting software. Okay, work on the new features. Okay, work on the new features. Okay, so when done, the new features is merged back to the original working accounting software. So this is called branching and this is called merging. So here, so you make a copy of this working software. Okay, so you make a copy of this working software, you add features to it. Okay, so after tested, no problem. Okay, then you merge the new features to this version. After merging, it becomes version 2. So version 2 is a new version of the accounting software with the new features, which is budget report. Okay, so this is a concept of branching and merging. Okay, so that when you are doing enhancement, okay, so when you are doing enhancement, you are not disturbing the working version. So there's a simpler explanation of what is branching and merging. Okay, so release management. Okay, so release management, a system release is a version of a software system that's distributed to the customers. Okay, so for the mass market, it is usually possible to identify two types of release. Okay, major release and minor release. So an example of major release is from Windows 7 to Windows 8, then Windows 8 to Windows 10. This is considered as major release. Any other example of major release? Microsoft 2016 to version 2019. Okay, is considered a major release. Is there a newer version than 2019? 2022. You have.
I know it's user
Microsoft Office?
yes.
Oh. I don't know. I have 2019. That's the latest version I have. Before that, I have 2016. So that's considered as major release. Okay, so minor release is something that considers bugs fixing, okay, bugs fixing and solving customer problems or solving customer complaints. Example of minor release is Windows 8 to Windows 8.1. Okay, so Windows 8 to 8.1 is a minor release. Any other example of minor release? What about your attendance app? The app you use to take attendance, any changes? Oh, I haven't give you the code. Why nobody ask? Take attendance first. Okay, so come back here. Minor release Windows 8 to Windows 8.1. You have any other example? Minor release is making minor change, okay, and release the change to customers. Right? I think your project you have many minor change, minor release. Okay. Okay. So for custom software, okay, so for custom software, releases of the system may be, for custom software releases of the system may have to be produced for each customer, and individual customer may be running different releases of the system at the same time. Okay, so example. Okay, so example, Hotel A needs event booking features. Okay, so Hotel B might require integration with local tour operators for guest services. Okay, so software company need to develop customized release for each hotel, so resulting in multiple versions of the software being used at the same time. So if you are the developer of a hotel management system, okay, if you are the developer of a hotel management system, you may have a standard version, okay, okay, but customer may have special requests. So Hotel A may request you to add booking features, okay, after adding booking features, so a hotel management system with event booking features is released to customer A. Okay, so you have another customer, Hotel B. So this Hotel B may request different features. Okay, after incorporating it, okay, you may have released the hotel system with these features, integration with local tour operators to Hotel B. So now you have two different releases for two different customers. Okay, so components to be included in the release. Okay, so what are the components to be included in the release? The executable code, configuration files, data files, installer, electronic and paper documentation. Okay, so electronic and paper documentation can include user manual, installation instructions, etc. Okay, so these are what can be included in the release. Okay, so factors influencing system release. Okay, so factors influencing system release. Number one is competition. Okay, number one is competition. A new system release may be necessary because competing products has introduced new features, and market share may be lost if these are not provided to existing customers. Okay, competition. Your computer has released a new features. Okay, if you do not do the same, you will be losing. Your customer may not. In future, the customer may not with you anymore, so your customer will go to your competitor. Okay, so what are examples? Example is Edge. Edge is a browser. So using Edge browser, you can use normal search. And now you can use Copilot. Mozilla Firefox, if doesn't quickly catch up, we'll be losing customers. Okay, so platform changes. Okay, so platform changes. when the new version of the operating system platform is released. Okay, so platform changes, you may have to create a new release of a software application. Okay, when a new version of the operating system platform is released. You may have software that run in Windows. You may have software that run in iOS. Okay. So when the latest operating system is Harmony OS. Okay. So Harmony OS. So you may also need to create a version that run on Harmony OS. Okay. Okay, so now change management. Okay, so whenever there's change, you have to manage it. Software configuration management is also known as change management. Okay, so software configuration or change management is to ensure that system evolution is properly managed and that priority is given to the most urgent and cost-effective changes. Okay, so the change management process, when there's a request for change, okay, so the change need to be managed. Change can come from the customer, okay, so request for change can come from the customer. So customer submit change request, so the change request is stored, okay, the change request is stored, later retrieved. So when retrieved, the change request is accessed. Okay, change request is accessed, it will be analyzed. Okay, so not all change requests will be approved for change. So select change request that you think you can approve. Okay, so if approved, modify software, test it. Okay, test is passed, then close change request. So close change request, then come back to here. Okay, so come back to here, I think store all the change requests and update the status as approval. So change requests can also come from customer support team. So customer support team receives change requests. Okay, so customer support receives change requests, check the change request. So change request is valid. Okay, register change request, record the change request you receive. Okay, so implementation analysis. Okay, so implementation analysis is to see whether the change can be done or cannot be done. Okay, and then do cost or impact analysis. Okay, further assess. Okay, select change request. Okay, approve, modify, test. Okay, after test, if passed, close the change request. Okay, so change analysis. Okay, so change analysis is to decide, okay, what are the things that you need to consider whether to approve or not to approve a change. So these are the factors to be considered. So what are the benefits of the change? If you make the change, what are the benefits? So you have to identify the benefits. What benefits can the change bring? The consequences of not making the change. If you don't make the change, what will be the consequences? Okay, so the cost of making the change and number of users affected by the change. The number of users affected by the change. Let's say you have 100 users using the software. Okay, you have 100 users using the software. the number of users affected by the change.
What is that?
10 of them. So 10 of them, meaning 10 of them, only 10 of them benefits from the change. 90 neutral. Is it worth the change? Only a small number. Maybe yes, maybe no. If this 10% are top management, yes, you have to change. So you have to see who are these 10 people. Okay, so change management process. Okay, it depends on who make the request. Okay, so it depends on who make the change request, and you have to analyze the request, okay, to see whether to approve or not to approve. So to approve or not approve, these are the checklists. Okay, so factors in change analysis. Okay, so sample change request form. So when you receive a request, do it formally. Okay, so do it formally. Okay, do it formally. Fill in the details. Okay, so don't do things verbally. Okay, don't do things verbally when there's a change request. Do it formally. Okay, fill in form. Okay, so when the date you receive the request, who made the request, what is the requested change, and so on. Okay, so all this must be properly recorded. So these are example of sample change request forms. Those I've highlighted in red are good. So the project change requester, who make the change, who make the request, what is the change, who analyzed the change, what are components affected, associated components affected. Okay, so assessment. Okay, change assessment. So you write out whether the change is simple or complex. Okay, priority, high, medium, low. So amount of effort needed, just an estimate. Right, change. This is a change request form number. So the year and the running number. Okay, so the date you receive the change request. All software development company will have this. Okay, so all software development company have this. End user environment also will have this change request form. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. What are these? What are these? Yes, configuration item. Okay, software configuration item. In your opinion, okay, in your opinion, a software has more configuration is a software having more configuration item than a car, or a car has more configuration item than a software. Software have more configuration item than a car.
Depends if you compare with Tesla or Volkswagen.
Because they have embedded computer, more things to do.
A car got a lot of items, you know. Even screw, even the screw
A lot of size.
screw also got many sizes. Sizes. Wiring. So car manufacturer also have to keep track of their configuration item. That's why when you go and buy spare part, the spare part shop will ask you what is your brand, what is your model, year, make. Okay, so that you get the right spare part. Okay, you can tell Dr. Claret, I'm ready. Okay, so I'll stop here. If you have next class, you can go to your next class. If you have a question, you can come and ask. Happy with your report format?
Okay.
What is put to the table content?